If you sat on a runway recently wondering why you aren't moving, the answer usually isn't the weather. It's that there is literally no one in the tower to clear you for takeoff. We are facing a historical shortage of air traffic controllers that is forcing the FAA to cut flights, and now they are looking at AI to stop the bleeding. Here's the situation. America's air travel demand is skyrocketing, but our staffing for air traffic controllers has dropped by 13% since 2010. It's gotten so bad that the FAA is now turning to artificial intelligence to handle trajectory analysis and weather predictions. This is headline news because it's a race against time, using cutting-edge tech to prevent a total gridlock of our national airspace. What do you think about this, using AI to help our air traffic controller situation?
I think it's smart because I think there's a lot of applications that could be used. I don't think the AI implementation, at least for the next 10 to 15 years, will be a solo implementation without human oversight. But we're talking about image recognition, pattern recognition, and that's what AI is good for, right? They can track aircraft movement during low visibility conditions, and that's when human controllers can't visually confirm aircraft positions. Predict, they can provide real-time assistance and predict potential crashes. There's a bunch of stuff that it can do, but I don't think that it's, at least anytime soon, it's going to be kind of a standalone replace the air traffic controllers. But I do think that there is a place for AI,
I think there is, but I think, how this feels like an accident waiting to happen.
Yes.
And, again, I think we should use it wherever we can. But at the same time, this feels like, another Skynet chunk. I take over the skies.
So my concern with this is that the air traffic controllers are like when they implement the AI to augment air traffic controllers, the air traffic controllers are going to rely too heavily on AI, and that's when we're going to have problems. They're going to trust it too much. They're not going to question it. They're going to question it at the start because obviously they don't trust it. But then once they trust it, they're going to stop questioning it. They're going to stop, and that's when the problems are going to arise.
Well, if you've heard any of the air traffic controller stuff they've been putting out, like the air traffic controller who's, said, Tom, you got to circle. We don't have a landing order for you yet. But he's like, well, I got a fuel situation here. You got to give me something. And but the air traffic controller, your fuel situation is not my problem, and hung up on them. You know what I mean? It's that sounds like a you problem. Yeah, I got a plane full of 200 people, and the air traffic controller is telling me, yeah, it's not their problem.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing though, right? If we're talking about if we dive into this, right? Of the 313 total FAA facilities, only 23 of those 313 met or exceeded their staffing goals as of, this is September 2023, but it got even worse during the government shutdown. So airport control towers and approach departure facilities had 7,047 certified controllers against a goal of almost 9,000, which is nearly 2,000 positions short. So, we've got so these guys are probably experiencing burnout. They're probably overworked, and they're not paid that well. We're talking a median salary of $144,000 per year. And if you've ever seen kind of behind the scenes of air traffic controllers, it can be a pretty stressful job. There's a lot of burnout that happens and all that sort of stuff. But there's a huge crisis here, I think.
Yeah, by the numbers, approximately 50% of major air traffic controller facilities are experiencing staffing shortages. These understaffed facilities handle 27% of all commercial flights and are responsible for 40% of the flight delays across the country. The FAA has been forced to reduce flights by 10% in 40 high traffic markets, meaning fewer flights. From 2010 to 2024, staffing levels have dropped by 13%. So the decline happened while air traffic demand has continued to grow, keep an even greater gap. So short answer, Yeah, I think a new set of high-tech tools, including AI, that will help handle this and potentially give our air traffic controllers the ability to handle more in air at the same time, I think would be great. We keep hearing the horror stories about how AI gets misused or this happens or that happens, and you kind of wonder about this thing. But I'm a big advocate for AI, and I assume all the right controls and stuff will be in place, and that this will be actually a great tool. Like, let's face it, if we can have any types of these tools that or systems where they're automatically alerting and giving us yellow and red where we really have to pay attention or we might have issues, while everything else is smooth going, I think that's where the human's time should be focused, right?
I think so too. Here, this might be a controversial opinion. I think AI will be used more in the actual aircraft as opposed to air traffic controller at first. I think we're closer to having an AI pilot than we are to having an AI air traffic controller, like full-time air traffic controller.
That might be true. I'm not
commercial.
100%.
For commercial, sorry.
Yeah, because we have military AI.
Yeah, we have the military. Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Sorry. Let me quantify that by saying commercial.
I think you're wrong.
Okay.
Where I think the opposite will be true. It's easier to have an AI directing traffic than flying the plane from a front-facing experience.
Yeah.
I say that because people may be willing to get in a car without a pilot, without a driver, but I don't know if they're willing to get in a plane yet. So I think it's okay if the AI is farther away from them, but they want to see a person get on that plane. I'm your pilot, blah, 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 and get in that cockpit and shut that door.
I don't disagree with you. I think it's more easily for people to accept an AI traffic controller than an AI pilot. Like, as far as perception.
Yeah. And I think the thing is that for now, only one of those can switch. Like, if we're talking about safety and the way our human minds trust, like, the pilot is probably the best person to stay human for now, because they can say, whatever you're seeing or whatever you're telling me is not actually what's happening. I'm gonna, raise a flag, get to a human, tell them what's going on. You know what I mean? So I think you're right that there will be an AI pilot situation, but I think we're 10 to 15 years out or longer from that for commercial flights, just for that reason. I think there might be AI assisted, maybe it's AI copilot, take over, whatever, but the pilot will still need to be there to override anything that just, the AI can't handle: fog, traffic, rain, storm, something unusual.
Yeah, let's just hope Boeing's not in charge of that so that the pilots actually can override it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I don't. That just reminds me of a personal story where I knew a safety engineer who worked for a big Canadian airline company. And one day he came to me and said, Craig, don't ever fly. And I can't tell you anything. He was just so upset. He says, don't ever do it. And, he's the safety engineer telling people what they can and cannot do. And he's like ready to walk out. And that's not good news.
No, it's not.
All right, back to this.
Yeah.
I think this needs to be done based on if they want to keep the flight levels the way they are. And I think the AI implementation at this level will happen quicker, whether at the air traffic controller level, whether it'll be full on implementation or just AI could plot the routes, human approves. If AI can do this, you know what I mean, as a tool. Yeah. So you're like, okay, that looks good. So it just helps them where they don't have to do as much. And that's why I think, when I work with companies AI, we're not trying to, in general, replace humans. What we're trying to do is take the meaningless dribble away from the work, the copy and pasting, the Google searches, whatever, to let the person actually focus on the things that they do best, whether that's human interaction or whatever, or dealing with the problems of the planes and juggle them around and what have you, and dealing with the human on the other end, because AI lacks that emotional intelligence, And if it acts anything like ChatGPT, you know, hey, I'm about to crash into ground. You're 100% right. Blah, 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 blah. You know, I messed up. So we just have to have that person in the loop for a while until we get to a point where we trust AI more than we trust humans. And there will be a tipping point. I'm just not sure where that's going to be.
Yeah.
The verdict here is pretty clear. AI is coming to the control tower, but it's going to be co-pilot, not the captain. I want to know, have you been stuck in one of those staffing shortages, delays recently? Drop your horror story in comments below, and we'll talk about it next stream. Also, let us know, would you be happy with an AI pilot for your plane? Let us know. All right, John, what do you got going on?
Oh, you know, just probably digging out of snow as this is coming out. So, but ramping up for shred season and government funding is with the new fiscal year coming in a few months. So, going to a few events. If you need help with government funding, reach out on LinkedIn, John Irwin, if you have any questions. How about if they need help with anything else related to their startup, Craig? And what are you up to?
Definitely head over to torontostarts.com. We have workshops and events happening there all the time. Everything's there. Sign up for our newsletter to make sure you don't miss anything. There's coaching. There's a podcast. You'll even find Silicon Scoop over there. If you're looking for direct coaching, head over to startupcoach.ca to find how you can book my time, and we can have a discovery call and get you back on the road to doing things, your business growing. We do monthly events at Startup Drinks TO. Again, all of these things are at torontostarts.com if you are interested. And for business AI and automation, head over to flowgrammar.ca, where we help businesses achieve faster lead response time, speed to lead, among other things. We have different packages. So go check that out. If you're looking to implement AI in your business and don't know where to start, go over to flowgrammar.ca and book a discovery call. And for everything else, flowgrammars.ca is our community hub. It's our Toronto Builders Hub. There's free workflows. There's our builder events. There's a bunch of stuff over there, a bunch of free tools. And demos on how to use them and build them. So go check that out all over there. And John, if they're looking for government funding, where do they go?
Yeah, find me on LinkedIn, John Irwin. You can book right through that link, right through LinkedIn. So come find me.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone.